How do we go from not enoughness to abundant fullness? From not enoughness, poverty mindset, scarcity mindset, lack mentality, also known within the yoga tradition as anavamala, the illusion that we are not already full and whole and perfect and complete. That sense of got to grasp and reach for something outside of myself. That continuous, persistent, insidious programming that we have as kids, and certainly if you grew up in the 80s and 90s like me, one of the key phrases you might remember from your childhood is, must try harder. Not good enough. Not good enough was definitely a key phrase in my own childhood, and it's like deeply imprinted. And this not enoughness, of course, fuels and drives our capitalist colonialist culture of extracting and exploiting and grasping and reaching and more, trying to fill a so-called void. And the void, the emptiness, yeah, there is a void and there is an emptiness, but actually when we make contact and go into that, that's when we can find the inherent fullness of consciousness, the inherent plumpness and ness of being. That being itself is blissful. Being itself, that kind of pure state of consciousness, is blissful. And I'll talk a little bit about Lakshmi and Lalita, Tripura, Sundari. So these are two energies within the yogic tradition, within yogic philosophy. And Lakshmi is the principle of ultimate value. So she's pointing us towards what is it that you ultimately value, or what is your intrinsic value? And when we're talking about dharma and purpose, we could like on a kind of higher meta level, we can say, or actually on a more simple level, we can say your very existence is enough. Your being here is a miracle. Your very existence is enough. But there is this deep inherent desire within consciousness to express and expand and create in the multiplicity, so in a multitude of ways, continuously pouring itself out of itself and expanding, this effulgence, this fullness of consciousness, this infinite creativity, which is creating these kind of patterns. I've got this image of, I always come back to an image of a peony flowers and peony roses, and that kind of heavy fullness and lightness and gladness, Mary Oliver, coming through there. So she's the ultimate value. She helps us to know it, recognize it, embody it, accomplish it, and sustain it. So working in a Lakshmi sadhana is very helpful if you're wanting to move into a more abundant mindset. She will show us where we're in poverty mindset, and she will show us where we are in a place of lack. I'm not beautiful enough, I'm not rich enough, I'm not fast enough, I'm not clever enough, whatever the story is. And this is where we can talk about vikalpas and shuddha vikalpas. So this is Tantric psychology, and vikalpas are your mental constructs. And they are often rooted in samskara, and we have the vasanas, which are the kind of repetitive behaviours which create the kind of cycle of samsara. So we're kind of in this conditioned response, this karmic action all the time. We're just kind of doing the thing that we've always done, and always kind of finding ourselves in a bit of a stuck place, or always feeling like we're not good enough, or we're always in this kind of same story over and over again. Because we're perpetuating our conditioning, we're not stop, turn around, look. One of my teachers, Taraji Dell, that was one of the teachings she gave me, which I think was probably from Sally Kempton. The job of the yogi is to stop, turn around and look. Why am I doing that? Where has that come from? What is that pattern? And the pattern is perpetuated, and we continue to stay in that groove because we stay with the same story, which is the vikalpa, the mental construct. And the practice is to find the shuddha vikalpa, what is closer to the truth. So a vikalpa that I had around my business, so I have a really beautiful online yoga school, Tantra Somatics Embodied Yoga. It's an incredibly beautiful community, and I consider the school, I consider Samavesha to be the Devi. Like, I am in service of her. I am in service, in devotional service of this being, this entity, this energy, this pulsation, which has so much power and is so magnetic, and that's also Shuddha Vikalpa. Like, it's not my school. You know, it's something that I was just called into as part of my Dharma, of like, do this. Okay, I don't really feel like, and a lot of the stories around that was, I'm not ready. I don't know enough. Who am I to have a school? All of this in the background, but the deeper pull, the deeper current, and the louder voice was, you need to do this, and it's this way. And yeah, I didn't feel ready, but we're never ready. So you step in. And a vikalpa that I had around the school about 18 months, well, up until about 18 months ago, was that she was too sacred. She could never be tainted and tarnished with money and business, and you know, I wanted to, you know, keep her in this way. But actually, what was closer to the truth was that she wanted me to grow the community, and for the community to expand, and for her arms to reach ever wider and embrace ever more people, and for these incredible teachings and powerful teachings, life-changing teachings that can completely transform our psychology and help us break free of those limiting, crippling, suffocating stories. The Shuddha Vikalpa was, she wants to get bigger, she wants to grow, she wants to touch more people, she wants to touch into more people, and I am getting in the way. My story of, she's too sacred and this must be treated as such and must not be treated as a business, was creating this dualism. And I'm rooted in a non-dual lineage of non-dual Shaiva Tantra, which is all about mukhti and bhukti. It's about, yes, realization and living a good life, living a worldly life. So moksha, freedom from mind-created suffering, bodha, awakening to our true nature, and bhoga, having a good life. And I realized that in order to be able to do that, I needed to have money and have more money coming in and have more resource, and the school needs to be more resourced, and I'll talk about that in another video about what that journey's been. But that's the discernment. What's the story? How is that limiting me or my Dharma? And what's a story that's closer to the truth? What's a story that's closer to the truth, and what is a story that is going to bring me closer to freedom? What is a story that's more expansive, and what is a story that dissolves that limiting constriction that I'm wrapping around it because of my small making? And of course, our small making, what's the part of you that wants to stay small? And ironically, it's your ego. We kind of think that our ego wants to be like, you know, seen, and when we see somebody that's very much in their ego, they're very much in their ego, but they're not aware of their true nature, or all the power and the expansiveness and the fullness that is holding all of that and is behind all of that and is so much bigger than all of that. And that's the irony of ego, when that's all we think we are, is that small I. And the ego self wants to stay in control. It wants to stay in control. And so when you start to expand into your fuller being and into that infinite possibility, and your creativity starts to come online and pour out of you, then something bigger is at play, and you have come into alignment with the divine, with consciousness, with source, with the deeper currents, with God, with intuition, however you want to speak about that. And ego then finds its place in the order of things, finds its healthy place, but is no longer running the show. And so there can be a battle around that. That's the other thing to say about Lakshmi, is that Lakshmi is points us towards our ultimate value, but she is also helping us to find our place in the order of things. So when we talk about Lakshmi, we often equate Lakshmi with beauty and abundance. Yes, but the kind of more nuanced teaching is abundance from the sense of your intrinsic value, which is always abundant and always full and always spilling over. When we're in contact with source, there is always fullness. So, and you are always abundant and radiant and vibrant, or you certainly are able to have access to that and drink from that source. Even when you feel in the most contracted places, you can find the expansion around the contraction. And the beauty teaching, yes, she's beauty, and we kind of, oh, it's the surface, you know, it's looking beautiful, or it's, yes, it's order. It's kind of having, like, she's has a Virgo-ness. So yes, the kind of beauty of divine order, and that sense of in our bodies when we've spring cleaned our spaces and we've found everything has its place in our homes. That's a very Lakshmi energy. And so she's helping us to find our place in the order of things, and that's how she relates to Dharma. So she's really helping us to recognize our inherent unique gifts and how that belongs in the greater whole. The intrinsic harmony as part of the whole. And yeah, I have this lovely, beautiful quote here. I think it's Rumi. Let the beauty of what you love be what you do. There are many ways to kneel and kiss the ground. Yes, it is Rumi. Let the beauty we love be what we do. There are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground. There are many ways to kneel and kiss the ground. Lakshmi is also sustenance. So she is vital energy and prana, ocean of energy. So when we're tapping into that again, that's that abundance, that's that source energy. Psychological, physical and emotional sustenance. So the fullness of energy, so she gives us that gentle endurance to keep going. And I think on the, so all of this is rich fodder and nourishment for the first few weeks of the group coaching course, How Not to Be a Humble Healer, which is where I'm really offering and teaching from this place within the framework of non-dual Shiva Tantra, within the framework of non-dual Tantric philosophy, within the framework of yogic philosophy, whether you're into yoga or not. If you're somebody that is a teacher or a healer or a space holder or an artist, a creative, and you want to find your place in the order of things, and you're looking for that abundant fullness and to be able to tap into source over and over and over again and have that gentle endurance to keep going. This is how we're going to frame the first few weeks of the course. And we work with Ganesha to help us get out of the way, because we're often getting in the way, and it's those limiting stories that are getting in the way, and it's that ego self and that small self that's getting in the way. But we'll also bring Lakshmi Ma in as well, so you can tap in to these pools of abundance, and we'll look at where are you in lack. We'll look at that impoverishment. So if we have 4 themes, 4 principles for Lakshmi: ultimate value, your inherent fullness, beauty, finding your place in the order of things, sustenance, So finding that gentle endurance and that ocean of prana that you can tap into and resource yourself with. And impoverishment, so looking at where are you in lack, when we can't recognize innate goodness, we can't recognize the innate value, the innate fullness, we're in a place of lack of time and money and limited resources, and we can ask ourselves, where is the mind grasping? Where is there neediness, any fears of not enough, over-attachment, shame? So these are all really strong themes that we're going to look at in the first few weeks of the program, and then over the period of the 10 weeks we'll really focus in on who you want to serve, who you want to be in service of, who you want to have around you, steadily building and building and building your community, so that you can nourish and nurture those people and be able to be in a position that instead of having to sell, you're putting your offerings out into the world, and you know they are already of service. You know it's what your community needs because you're so in relationship with your community. And yeah, whatever it is that you are putting into the world is something that they will want to drink from. So all the details and information will be below, samaveshayoga.com. How Not to Be a Humble Healer is the course, 10-week group coaching program to help you build community and make money online, all framed within Tantric philosophy and Tantric psychology, all framed within practice and really rooted in the deep intention to build a devotional business, and that all of your work can be an act of service, that all of your work can be practice, can be devotion, can be an offering.